Welcome to your first listening lesson, the overview of the listening section. Before you start the lesson, you will need to have the following to hand: your training booklet, a pen or pencil, and a rubber. You should follow the lesson in your training booklet where you will find the tasks in this lesson. After this lesson, you will have a clear overview of what to expect in the listening section, have learnt tips and strategies on how best to approach the tasks, and have a chance to practice. This is the overview of the listening section. After this lesson, you will practice each question type in separate lessons, and all the tips and strategies you learn about here will be repeated, so don't worry if you don't remember everything this time. You can also find all the important information such as things to remember and tips in your training booklet, and all the answers are in the back of your training booklet. The test day itself starts with the listening section. Everyone sits in one room for the test, which is played on a CD and is only played once. You don't get headphones, and at the beginning of the test there is a sound check, and if you can't hear or even if it's too loud, now is the time to say so. The invigilators won't stop once the test is started. During the test, which lasts around 30 minutes, you have to answer the questions in the test booklet while you're listening. There are 40 questions. You'll get the test booklet, an answer sheet, a pencil and a rubber. There are different question types such as multiple choice, labelling diagrams, filling in forms and answering short questions. After the whole test, you will have 10 minutes to transfer your answers. Here you can see the listening paper consists of 4 sections of increasing difficulty. Each section has a new set of questions and is on a new topic. Section 1 is a conversation between 2 speakers making arrangements, for example. Often the answers required are specific words such as dates, places, names and times. Section 2 is a monologue, for example, about student services on a campus. Section 3 is a conversation between up to 4 people, and Section 4 is another monologue, a lecture or a talk of general interest. Now we're going to look at how it is marked. Markers will check your answers and give you a point for each correct answer. You aren't penalised for getting an answer wrong. Here's a table with the scoring system so you can see how many answers you need to get right in order to get the score you need. You have the band score on the left and the raw score on the right, which is how many answers you get right out of 40 in total. So, for example, if you get 36 right, then you will get an 8, and if you get 34, you'll get a 7.5. There are 4 stages to each of the 4 listening sections. First, you will have 30 seconds to prepare and look at the questions. Then the recording starts and you will write your answers as you listen. After the recording, you have 30 seconds to check your answers. And after the whole test, you will have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer listening sheet in pencil. Now we will go through those stages and look at what you can do in each. We will look at different question types in detail in the listening lessons, and what to do during the preparation time varies depending on the question type. For this example, we are using the question type filling out a form. Before each recording starts, you always have 30 seconds to prepare. I recommend you make the most of this time and use it to prepare for the recording. If you prepare well, then you will find the recording easier to follow, understand more, and get more answers correct. Here we're going to look at some things you could do and should do during that time. In this case, we're using a form filling task as an example, and in every lesson in this course you will practice this, so it does become routine. If you go to the page in your training booklet, we will be looking at the task number 1. There are 5 things I suggest you do. Firstly, it's important to know what the topic is before you start listening. If you don't know the topic, then it's like trying to join a conversation halfway through. It might be written on the test page, but more likely you will have to look at the task itself to find out what the recording's about. Look at the example in your training booklet and find out what the topic is. In this example, it's filling in an application form for a homestay, so you can expect to hear some information about the person and maybe dates, etc. Secondly, it's very important to find the first hold or keyword in each set of questions. By hold, I mean the first clue or keyword which you will probably hear in the recording, and it gives you a clue to the first answer and means you really have to start listening and concentrating now. The term hold comes from climbing, where you use a hold so you don't fall all the way down to the bottom. And here it tells you when to listen carefully. If you miss the first question in a set, it's often hard to catch up again. Let's look at the example in your training booklet and find the hold. In this example only, there is an example given. It is Uccini, her surname. This is the hold you need to underline, and you will probably hear it, so listen out for it as the speaker will probably say it in the recording. Number 3 is simple. You need to know how many questions there are. So again, if you look at the example, you can see there are 6 questions. Fourthly, you should have a quick look at what you have to do. What sort of questions are there? In this example, it's filling in a form, filling in the gaps with words from the recording. And lastly, you should try to predict the answers or kind of words you need in the answer, as then you'll know what to listen for. Take a bit of time to predict what kind of words you will need to listen for in the example in your booklet. So number 1 is a name, number 2 is a number, number 3 is an amount of time, a time period, number 4 a type of course, and number 5 and 6 are nouns. As I said, it depends on the question type as what you can do in the 30 seconds, and we will be looking at all the different question types in the listening lessons following. The second stage is the actual listening, and this is what you need to do while you're listening. You need to read, listen and write all at the same time. So you need to read the questions, listen for the answers and write the answers on the sheet next to the numbers. There's no time to make notes. All the questions are in order, so if you miss one, then you just move on to the next. And all the answers are from the recording, so never use your own words. If the answers are words, then they are content words. That means, for example, a name or a thing, Sarah, a table, green fields, etc., and not grammar words such as the, it or is. It's very important to keep up. My students often tell me they lost concentration and couldn't find their place again. You can do this using signpost words such as firstly, on the one hand, and however, which you will probably hear. You can also underline words and your predictions from the preparation you did. It's important to keep going here. As we said earlier, if you don't understand a question, it doesn't matter too much. It's more important to keep going as you don't want to miss out too many questions. They'll only say each answer once. And if you get stuck trying to find the answer to one question, then you'll run the danger of missing the others. Now you can practice using the example in your booklet. Write your answers to the questions on the form in your training booklet. The recording will start automatically.
I'd like to join a family as well.
Okay, so let me get some details. What's your name?
My name is Keiko Uccini.
Could you spell your family name for me?
It's Uccini. That's Yuichini.
The student's surname is Uccini, so Uccini has been written on the form. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 6.
Yes, what can I do for you?
My friend is in homestay, and she really enjoys it, so I'd like to join a family as well.
OK, so let me get some details. What's your name?
My name is Keiko Yuchini.
Could you spell your family name for me?
It's Yuchini. That's Yuichini.
And your first name?
It's Keiko. Keiko.
That's Keiko Yuchini. OK. And you're female. And your nationality?
I'm Japanese.
Right. And could I see your passport, please?
Here it is.
OK. Your passport number is JO6337. And you're how old?
I'm 28 years old.
Now, you live at one of the colleges. Which one?
Willow College, room 21C.
Right. 21C Willow College. And how long are you planning on staying with Homestay?
About 4 months. Longer if I like it.
And what course are you enrolled in?
Well, I've enrolled for 20 weeks in the Advanced English Studies because I need help with my writing. And I'm nearly at the end of my first 5-week course.
OK. Do you have any preference for a family with children or without children?
I like young children, but I'd like to be with older people. You know, adults, someone around my age.
OK. And what about pets?
I am a veterinarian, so that's fine. The more the better.
After each section, you'll have 30 seconds to go through your answers. This is what you can do in that time. First of all, check your answers fit the context. Make sure they make sense. Secondly, guess any missing answers. You aren't penalised for writing the wrong answer, so it's very important you write at least something, even if you think you have no idea. Many times I've heard my students say, "Oh, I nearly wrote that," i.e. the right answer, "but I wasn't sure, so I didn't." You have nothing to lose here. I always say it's like playing the lottery for free. Nothing to lose, but it could make the difference between getting the score you need or not. Thirdly, make sure you can read your handwriting. And lastly, be careful with spelling and plurals. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers using the tips we just looked at, and I'll tell you when the time is up. You can start now. Your time is up now. After the whole listening test, you will have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to a listening answer sheet in pencil. This is what you have to do when you're transferring your answers. As we said, you have to use a pencil. Your answers can be in capital or small letters, so you can write the word Martin in any of the following ways. There are various ways you can write things like dates and times and currencies, which you can see in your booklet or here on this slide. Street names are always written as 2 words as shown here. Your answers must be spelt correctly. If they're not spelt correctly, then it will count as a mistake. You have to transfer the words you wrote. Don't change them because you think something sounds better. Check the word limit. This is very important. If you look at question in the example in our training booklet, it says write no more than 2 words and or a number. So this means if you write 3 words, the answer will be wrong, even if it includes the right answer. It might instruct you to write no more than 1 word and or a number, in which case you mustn't write more than 1 word. And lastly, read your answers again. Once you finish transferring, you have plenty of time. 10 minutes is more than you need, so use the extra time to check your writing is legible and that the answers make sense. Now take a minute to transfer the answers from this example. Here you can write your answers in your training booklet and I'll tell you when the time is up. You can start now. Your time is up now. Now let's look at your answers together. You can find the answers in the back of your test booklet and on this screen. These are all the possible answers. Your answers have to be the same as here. For example, the spelling has to be correct. However, you can write with capital or small letters and the words in brackets are optional. If you need more time, just press pause.